Hi folks, welcome to our best Italian wine tasting kit. Coming up, you've got our 6 drink-along videos with a little bit more information on all the wines in your kit. Enjoy. This is the Casa d'Efra Sauvignon Blanc from Veneto in Italy.
Yes, the nation's favourite white grape variety, but not perhaps from a country you might expect. Veneto in Italy is home to some pretty famous white wines, Pinot Grigio, Soave and of course Prosecco, so there's no reason why it couldn't grow Sauvignon Blanc, another white grape that does well in cool to moderate climates like in northern Italy.
Now, when I'm down the supermarket or even in a restaurant, when it comes to white wine, at the moment, it seems like it's all about Sauvignon Blanc. And on top of that, it seems like if it's not from New Zealand, it's not worth talking about.
Yeah, so the reason Sauv is so popular at the moment is because it has a perfect balance of being both thirst-quenching and moreish. And there's some real science behind it. The thirst-quenching bit comes from acidity. That's what makes our mouths water and makes us feel like we've been quenched. The moorishness comes from sugar, not too much, just a little makes the wine delicious and leaves us wanting more. Sauv Blanc in the right climate balances these two perfectly. Now, New Zealand in particular is lucky enough just to have the perfect weather for balancing these two things out. A cool to moderate temperature for the acidity, but then lots of sunshine to increase the ripeness and the sugar. Veneto in Italy, believe it or not, has a very similar climate. It's actually equal distance from the equator to New Zealand, just in the opposite direction. It's surrounded by water like New Zealand, and it's got all the mountains like New Zealand. And as a result, the Sauvignon Blanc it produces is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it. Really getting those zingy vibes from that acidity, but then the fruitiness from the sugar really does make you want to just keep on drinking it. But if I were to pause for something to eat, what are we thinking?
Sauv, as well as being fruity, it has quite a green herby flavour to it. So pair it with anything with really herby sauce, like pesto or those fish cakes you get with the old school parsley sauce.
Now we're talking. Cheers. This is Zaccagnini Verdicchio from Marche in Italy.
That's right. Though thought to have originated in Veneto in the north, the grape here, Verdicchio, had very much found its spiritual home in Marche, a more central Italian region where it is easily their most planted variety. Very much a critic's choice, in the wine world, Verdicchio is widely considered Italy's best white wine, with many showing potential for such strange activities as putting it away for aging.
I mean, why would you want to do that?
I know, right? Madness. Young Verdicchio, however, is fantastic, with refreshing acidity, green herby type flavours, but its signature is an almond flavour, which in some cases can be a touch bitter, but also creates a richness in the wine.
Okay, and this is what's called a DOC wine, which I've heard you say in the past can be a signifier of quality, right?
Absolutely. Now, unlike France, where the AOC accredited wines make a huge part of what's famous about the country, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Côte de Rhône, etc., the DOC accreditation that Italy gives to its wine is far less relied upon. Sure, like in France, it means that these certified regions follow a set of rules and regs to create a consistent quality of wine, but a much lower percentage of the country actually buy into the bureaucracy of it. In Marche, just 20% of its wine production is DOC. In places like Sicily and Puglia, it's less than 5%.
I mean, I guess you can kind of think of it like the difference between a French and Italian chef. The French chef is all about the precision and following the recipe to a T, with absolutely no tolerance for straying from that recipe. I mean, in Italy, they just do it the way their nonna did. Nobody's going to tell them otherwise or hold them to any kind of rules.
That is exactly it.
Just say it again.
That is exactly it. Italy is not the country for strict winemaking, but they're extremely tasty and world-leading all the same. You can, however, use DOCs as a guide for quality. It's usually written on the neck of the bottle.
Great stuff. What are we pairing this one with?
This is a coastline region, so wine is famously paired with a local fish stew. Now, I can't remember the last time I had fish stew, but fish pie? I'm in.
And I'll join.
Cheers.
This is Baglio Gibellina Grio from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Sicily's signature white grape variety is Grio, a full-bodied, full-flavoured white that for decades has been a major component of the country's perhaps most famous fortified wine, Marsala.
Now, Marsala wine, never actually drank it, but it's one of those things that a Jamie Oliver recipe will tell you need to buy for some sticky ribs or something. I'll buy a bottle from the supermarket, as cheap as possible, stick a splash in, then the rest will go at the back of a cupboard and get dusty for years. Does anyone actually drink that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I never have, same story here, just for cooking, but I believe people do drink it with cheese and charcuterie. It was the biggest export of Sicily for quite some time, and the grape growing required to make it was not particularly high quality. The thing about Sicily is it has an almost perfect climate for growing wine grapes in vast quantities. Great for mass production, but not always a great standard, as quality grapes actually prefer to struggle a little. It's only recently that the Sicilian government decided to step in and subsidise growers so that they could grow less grapes, focus on quality, and move away from Marsala and into table wine. The result has been some amazing great value vino. It's one of our favourite regions.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Sicilian reds, but this white's excellent. It's packed full of fruity flavours, still really fresh and really drinkable. That Sicilian climate is also excellent for growing organically, like this one.
Yeah, that's right. Most pesticides in winemaking are used to combat the moulds and mildew brought on by damp weather. Sicily is hot and dry and has an almost 360-degree Mediterranean sea breeze, which literally gives the grapes a good airing and makes sure mould doesn't set in. As a result, a big percentage of Sicilian wine is organic, just because it's easy to do so, rather than any effort to get with the times.
Okay, great stuff. What can we drink this one with then?
It's a chunky white wine, so pair it with some chunky fish, something like salmon or tuna or swordfish.
Look at Moneybags over here.
Cheers.
This is the Palazzo del Mare Rosso from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Nera d'Avola here, the red Italian grape you've never heard of, as it's only found in its native home on the island of Sicily. Sicily is a fantastic winemaking region deep in the heart of the Mediterranean. This volcanic island is very exposed and super hot, meaning grapes get plenty ripe and full of flavour. Nera d'Avola is a full-bodied red with tons of dark fruit but silky smooth tannins. Excellent for lovers of Argentinian Malbec.
I mean, hang on a minute, Sam. If my geography serves me right, Sicily sits about as far south as the top of Africa. You know, that's a stone's throw from Tunisia. Surely that is too hot for decent winemaking.
Very good, Daniel. You're absolutely right, but Sicily has an ace up its sleeve. The same technique used by the Chileans, and that is altitude. These vines will have been planted 200 to 300 metres above sea level, up on Mount Etna. During the day, this doesn't do a lot, but at night, altitude creates what is called in the wine game large diurnal change. That's the technical term for nights that are a lot colder than the days. This pattern of hot in the day and cold at night is perfect for slowing down the ripening process of grapes, which in turn increases the fruity flavour.
Very nice. Is it me though, or does this wine have something spicy or kind of licoricey going on?
You are on fire today, Dan. Yes, a brief spell in French oak for this wine not only adds that spicy flavour, but also smooths out the tannins. That's the bitterness you get from the thick-skinned grapes. Nera d'Avola needs thick skins to cope with the heat. Again, slow ripening can mitigate the bitterness you get as a result, but a bit of oak also helps to create that velvety feeling in the mouth.
Excellent. And, you know, what am I pairing this one with then?
Nera d'Avola is a great wine for red meat, but perhaps a little leaner than a steak. My personal favourite is the humble burger. If you really want to take it up a notch, melted blue cheese in there, game changer.
Oof, very, very good indeed. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is Mavis Biscardo Nero Passo from Veneto in Italy.
That's right, the Biscardo family, one of the first families in Veneto to start making wine over 150 years ago. Now leaders in two types of wine that the region is famous for, Amarone and Soave. They make some of the world's best and fairly pricey it is too. However, keen to stay close to their roots, they have a trio of wines, red, white and rosé, that use all of their wealth of experience to create tasty but accessible vino. This is their red and we love it.
Okay, yeah, so I do know this one, and if we're talking Amarone, it's a blend of red grapes, but it's all about the winemaking process though, right?
Correct, with a slight twist. We've got two of the most commonly used grapes in Amarone winemaking, Corvinone and Corvina, with some Cabernet Sauvignon for good measure. This type of blend goes into making a famous wine for the region, Valpolicella, the most famous and expensive of which is Amarone della Valpolicella. What makes it Amarone is a technique called ripasso or appassimento, where they dry the grapes out first to concentrate the sugars and flavour. It reduces the water content by up to 40% before they even start the winemaking. As a result, you get wines that are really concentrated and jammy, full of dark fruit flavour, but you get that without needing to be in a particularly hot region. Okay,
so look, if we're getting all that jammy flavour without the weather needing to be scorching hot, I guess the grapes don't need particularly thick skins, which is why this wine is so drinkable.
Absolutely. Grapes from hot climates need the skins to survive. Thick skins mean those bitter, astringent tannins that not everyone is into. Here we don't have that. The same deep dark flavour is achieved in a much cooler climate thanks to the appassimento method. It's so easy going, you can just drink more and more.
And what am I going to drink more and more with?
All sorts really. It's an Italian great. Pasta, all sorts of cheese, roasted meats with rich gravies.
I'll have one of everything, please.
Cheers.
This is Electric Bee Primitivo from Puglia in Italy.
Yes, Primitivo, the signature grape of this southern Italian region, but perhaps more famously known as Zinfandel. This grape actually started its life in Croatia with a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It very much made its home in Puglia, however the Californians have made it their own under their own name.
Okay, but hang on. When I think of California Zinfandel, I think of that questionably cheap, neon pink, sweet rosé, more than often consumed out of a box as pre-drinks by students. Surely this is not the same thing.
Well, actually, what we call white Zinfandel is made from the same grape. However, red Zinfandel wines make up some of California's best and most prestigious vino. Very good if you love big jammy reds. We see a little red Zinfandel in the UK, but not a huge amount, and the good ones tend to be expensive, as good American wine does cost a fair bit.
So can we expect the same from this Primitivo?
Absolutely. Puglia is one of Italia's hottest regions. It's desert-like, not dissimilar to California. As a result, those dark fruit flavours become rich and jammy in the sun. Puglia is also a fantastic region for full-bodied Italian reds on a budget. It's a region with some of the fewest DOCs or accredited regions. Winemaking is considered rustic, but don't let that put you off. When would you ever turn down rustic Italian cooking with generations of experience? The same applies for the winemaking.
Okay, I mean, also, half of Italy's olive oil is produced in Puglia, so there's a little fact for you to take home with you.
What would I do without your contribution to these tastings?
Well, you know, look, you're welcome. It's big, it's fruity, it's surprisingly easy going for this part of the world. Not the beast I was probably expecting, actually.
Yeah, for sure, it's been very carefully managed by the winemaker. Lots of coastline for cooling sea breezes here, stretching out that ripening process to mean that it doesn't reach peak jam before those thick skins and bitter tannins have been well mellowed out.
Okay. I mean, you know, I'm feeling pretty mellow after a few glugs of this. You know, what can I pair that with?
Rich red sauces, and I don't mean Heinz, anything with tons of tomatoes in.
Oh, delightful.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching our drink along videos. We hope you enjoyed the wine. Don't forget to come back and spend your £10 voucher on your favourites.